Now, today, Bradley's blood could pretty much be, could pretty much be spotted. You know, they say that still blood runs deep like still waters. His grandson, Elijah Bradley, well, he's out there pretty much doing what his grandfather had somewhat set out to do, but he's not insane. He works alongside a group of superheroes called the Avengers, and his name is the Patriot. Now, with all the past terrorism mistakes of Operation Rebirth, Reinstein was able to figure out how to kill the glitches and perfect the procedure. But at the same time, the government also urged that Reinstein take the procedures, formula and commit it to memory, just for safety's sake, because now, with the war coming, of course, there would be separatists, traitors, spies, and saboteurs, right? You couldn't chance it. So the safest place would be in his brain. Now, with all that being said, with Rogers being brought up to speed on what is about to happen, the happenings took place. Rogers would be then placed before the procedure, and then he would receive those massive doses of steroids and those biological agents. But the difference on this one is that he would be exposed to a more greater level of that catalytic radiation. And within mere minutes, Rogers went from being this scrawny, uncouth, frail individual of a kid to a genetic wonder of a man. I mean, it was unbelievable. This guy was fit, he was agile, his senses was heightened, he had speed, he had the strength and the power to match that strength. So the transformation became a 100% success. Rogers survived it physically and mentally. Now, witnessing this was a deep-cover Nazi spy who was posing as a lab observer. That spy took a look at what Rogers had become, and automatically he brandished his pistol, and he assassinated Professor Reinstein. Rogers, in a fit of rage, then grabbed this assassin, and he tossed him around the lab like a pit bull with a cat in his mouth. Eventually, Rogers would pick this guy up over his head, he would find the mark, and throw him into a barrage of electrical equipment, and the Nazi spy would die due to a quick electrocution. Now, this right here, it was happy in one sense because Rogers had found new life, but at the same time, Professor Reinstein was dead, and the formula that he created died along with its creator. Steve Rogers is now the only super soldier at this stage of the game walking in creation. Now, other operations, such as like Operation Rebirth, will be coming to light in the up and coming years. But due to failed experiments and lack of government funding, these operations was halted and they would eventually go underground. But they met with considerable success in the 1970s and 1980s with the Weapons X project, which was responsible for giving one animal its claws. Now, as for Rogers, the government, they seen they had, a genetic wonder of a man, but they also seen they had a weapon, and they wanted to put that pretty much to use. So he went under extensive training with the latest in military strategy. At the same time, he was also getting like vigorous training in gymnastics for his agility. And at the same time, he was also learning like the fundamentals of the latest hand-to-hand combat techniques such as wrestling, boxing, and martial arts. Now, with this said, Rogers, he would remain pretty much a government secret for the matter of time that he went under his training. And while he was training, the Nazis, well, they pretty much had, a super soldier in their own right. But this guy, unlike Rogers, he didn't have so much of a physical acumen. He had more of a mental acumen. The only thing pretty much that him and Rogers had in common, right, was the fact that they both came from humble surroundings. Now, first off, the individual's name is Johann Schmidt. And like Rogers, like I just said, he came from humble surroundings himself. Believe it or not, he was discovered in a hotel in downtown Berlin at the start of the war by Adolf Hitler. When Hitler found Schmidt was working as a lowly bellhop. Now this is scary. How could the Fuhrer turn around and take someone seemingly harmless and turn him into an instrument of destruction? and so on. This process worked to a point where Schmidt turned around and not only gained the respects of his underlings and other Nazi soldiers, but at the same time, he gained even more respect by his superiors. Hitler turned around and had but one last thing to do. This would involve Schmidt keeping his identity a secret from everyone within the Reich under the guise of a hideous red skeletal mask. People who came to respect him and fear him wound up calling him the Red Skull.